In the last class we have studied about hydrides. In this class we shall study about one of the important compound of hydrogen, that is water. You all know that water is the one of the important component of all the living organisms. It exists in three physical states: solid, liquid as well as gaseous form. Human body contains 65% of water. Plant body also contains 95% of water. Water is a covalent molecule. Water is a covalent molecule in which oxygen is sp3 hybridized. Coming to a structure of water, you can observe here oxygen is bonded to a two hydrogen atoms by a covalent bond, and it contains two lone pairs of electrons, so that we can say water molecule contains two lone pairs of electrons and two bond pairs of electron with a structure, bent structure. Water is having a bent structure with a bond angle of 104.5 degree and OH bond length is 95.7 picometer. OH bond length is 95.7 picometer. You all know that oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen, therefore it attracts the shared pairs of electron in OH bond towards itself. Therefore oxygen carries partial negative charge, that is represented by delta minus, and hydrogen carries partial positive charge. Therefore, we can say water is a polar molecule. This is about the structure of water. It is having bent structure with a bond angle of 104.5 degree and OH bond length is found to be 95.7 picometer. Cleared? Next, coming to a structure of ice. Ice is having three-dimensional hydrogen bonded structure. What do you mean by hydrogen bond? The bond between hydrogen and more electronegative elements like oxygen, nitrogen and fluorine. Then that bond is called as hydrogen bond. This ice is also having an three-dimensional hydrogen bonded structure with a open cage like structure, with a lot of empty space within it. If you see the structure of ice, you can observe here one water molecule is bonded to four other water molecule. One water molecule H2O, one water molecule is bonded to four other water molecule. In that, oxygen atom is bonded to four hydrogen atoms. Two hydrogen atoms are bonded to an oxygen by a covalent bond. Two hydrogen atoms. These two hydrogen atoms are bonded to this oxygen atom by a covalent bond. This solid line represents the covalent bond. This solid line represents the covalent bond. And other two hydrogen atoms are bonded to an oxygen by an hydrogen bond. This dotted line represents hydrogen bond. So that we can say among four hydrogen atoms, two hydrogen atoms are bonded to an oxygen by a covalent bond and other two hydrogen atoms are bonded to an oxygen by an hydrogen bond. You can observe here there is a presence of empty space within the structure of ice. Because due to the presence of this empty space in the structure of ice, you are saying that density of ice is less than water. Why the density of ice is less than water means because due to the presence of this empty space. You all know that density is equal to mass by volume. If we consider the same mass of water and ice, mass remains constant. But the volume will increases in the case of ice because due to the presence of this empty space. When the volume increases, density will decreases. Therefore, in the case of ice, we say density of ice is less than water. One mark question ali kelbodu, why the density of ice is less than water? Because due to the presence of the empty space in the structure of ice, volume will increases. As the volume increases, density will decreases. Therefore, the density of ice is less than water. Cleared? Next, coming to an physical properties of water. You all know that water is a colorless, odorless and a tasteless liquid. It is having high boiling point and freezing point. When we compare the hydrides of group 16 elements, you all know that oxygen, sulfur, selenium are the group 16 elements. These elements combines with hydrogen to form their respective hydrides like H2O, H2S, H2Se. Among these dioxide, water is having high boiling point. Give reason anta heli kelbodu. Because due to the presence of hydrogen bonding. Because due to the presence of hydrogen bonding in the case of water. What do you mean by hydrogen bond? The bond present between the hydrogen and an more electronegative element like oxygen, nitrogen, or it may be fluorine. Therefore, there is presence of hydrogen bond only in the case of water, not in the case of H2S. Because due to the presence of this hydrogen bonding, water is having abnormally high boiling point and freezing point. Cleared? Next, water is a polar solvent. Already you know that it is a polar solvent. And because due to the high dielectric constant, it can dissolve many of the compounds like ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Next, it is an excellent solvent. You all know that water is an universal solvent. It is an excellent solvent for the transportation of ions and molecules which are required for the plant and animals in their metabolism. Clear? This is about the physical properties of water. Next, coming to an chemical properties of water. In the first chemical property is water is an amphoteric in nature. What do you mean by amphoteric nature of water? Amphoteric is nothing but the substance which act as an both acid as well as base. Then the type of substances are said to be amphoteric substances. In this case, we are saying this water will shows amphoteric nature. That means it will act as a both acid as well as base. Let us see a reaction. In this reaction, water will react with an acid like HCl. You all know that HCl is an acid. In the presence of acid, this water will act as an base. Water will act as an base. You know that acid is a substance which donates proton and the base is a substance which receives the proton, isn't it? this acid will donate a proton. Proton is nothing but H plus ion. When this acid donates a proton to this base, it will take up the H plus ion and it is going to form H3O plus Cl minus will be formed in the reaction. In the case of acid, the water itself behaves as a base. Coming to second reaction, in this case, you know that ammonia, NH3 is nothing but ammonia, it is base. In the presence of base, water will act as an acid. Water itself acts as an acid. What do you mean by acid? The substance which donates H plus ion. In this case, this water will donate a proton to a base. This base will receive the proton and it is going to form NH3 there. When it receives H plus ion, it is going to form NH4 plus OH minus ion will be left in a solution. Cleared? This is about the amphoteric nature of water. Question ಕೇಳಬಹುದು, explain the amphoteric nature of water means you have to consider these two reactions and you should explain the amphoteric nature. Amphoteric nature is nothing but the substance which act as a both acid as well as base. Then the type of substances are called as amphoteric substances. Here the water will act as a base in the presence of acid. In the presence of base, it will act as an acid. Cleared? Next, the autoprotolysis of water. This water will undergo autoprotolysis. Autoprotolysis is nothing but self-ionization. It will undergo self-ionization. One water molecule will combine with another water molecule. One water molecule will act as an acid. Another water molecule will act as an base. One will act as an acid, another water molecule will act as an base. You know that acid is a substance which donates a proton. That H plus ion is donated to a base. This base will receive the H plus ion and it is going to form H3O plus. When it donates an H plus ion, remaining will be the OH minus ion. Therefore, we can say this water will undergo self-ionization. ಇದು ಸಹ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು ನಿಮಗೆ. Explain the self-ionization of water. Write a reaction for the self-ionization of water ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ you should write this reaction. Cleared? Next, coming to a redox reaction. You know different types of reactions. What do you mean by redox reaction? A redox, as the name itself indicates, the reaction which involving both oxidation and reduction. The reaction involving both oxidation and reduction, then the type of reactions are called as redox reaction. Already you know the definition for reduction and oxidation. What do you mean by reduction? Reduction is nothing but addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen. Oxidation means addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen, isn't it? In this case, we are saying that this water will undergo redox reaction. What do you mean by this? In the case of an electropositive element, when water reacts with electropositive element, water is reduced to hydrogen. Water is reduced to hydrogen. It is undergoing reduction. Water is undergoing reduction in the presence of an electropositive metal like sodium. Itself undergoing reduction. Nothing but it is called as an oxidizing agent. This water will act as an oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent. In this reaction, water is acting as an oxidizing agent. It oxidizes sodium to sodium hydroxide. Addition of oxygen is taking place. Nothing but oxidation. Sodium is undergoing oxidation and water is undergoing reduction. Reduction is nothing but addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen. In this case, water molecule H2O is reduced to H2, means oxygen is removed. Nothing but reduction. It is undergoing self-reduction in the presence of an electropositive metal like sodium. Therefore, in this case, water will act as an oxidizing agent. In this reaction, both oxidation as well as reduction is taking place. Therefore, it is an example for redox reaction. Cleared? Next, when water reacts with an fluorine, it is going to form hydrogen fluoride and oxygen. In the presence of fluorine, water is oxidized. Water is oxidized to oxygen. It is undergoing oxidation. It is undergoing oxidation. What do you mean by oxidation? Addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. In this case, what happens? Hydrogen is removed. It is nothing but oxidation. Here F2 is reduced to HF. It is undergoing reduction. Reduction is nothing but addition of hydrogen. F2 ididu HF ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Addition of hydrogen is taking place. That is nothing but reduction, isn't it? In this reaction also, both oxidation and reduction is taking place. In this reaction, water is acting as an reducing agent. In the first reaction, water is acting as an oxidizing agent in the presence of a metal, but in the case of fluorine, water will act as an reducing agent. In this case also, photosynthesis reaction. In this case also, water is oxidized to oxygen. Carbon dioxide reacts with water to form, already you know that, C6H12O6 plus oxygen, and water is liberated. During this reaction also, water is oxidized to oxygen. Cleared? These are the two reactions. From these reactions, you can explain the oxidizing agent as well as reducing agent of water. Cleared? Next, coming to a formation of hydrides. What do you mean by hydrides? Compound containing water molecule. Then the type of compounds are said to be hydrides. These hydrides are formed from their aqueous solution by the crystallization process. These hydrides are crystallized from their aqueous solution of hydrated salts or obtained. Hydrated salts are obtained from the crystallization of their aqueous solution. If we consider the aqueous solution of the salt and the crystallization is carried out. Crystallization is nothing but solidification of liquid. When we crystallize the aqueous solution, we are going to get a salt. Then the type of salts are called as hydrated salts. Those hydrated salts are containing water molecules. Salts containing water, then the type of salts are called as hydrated salts. These hydrated salts are further classified into different types based on the association of the water molecule. Based on the association of water molecule in the crystal lattice, it is classified into different types. In the first type is coordinated water. Example, if we consider the example of this chromium H2O6 Cl3. In this example, 6 water molecule is bonded to chromium by a coordinate bond. 6 water molecules are bonded to chromium. Central metal atom is chromium here by a coordinate bond. Then we can say it is an coordinated water. Then the type of hydrates are called as coordinated water. Next, second type is interstitial water. Example, barium chloride 2H2O. In the last class, you have studied about interstitial hydrates. What do you mean by interstitial hydrates? If we consider the crystal lattice, if hydrogens are present at these interstitial voids, then the type of hydrates are called as interstitial hydrates. Same like that. Interstitial water means it is the space. This space in the crystal lattice is called as interstitial voids. Presence of the water molecule. Water molecule is present in the interstitial void of this crystal lattice. Then the type of hydrates are called as interstitial water. Example, barium chloride 2H2O. In this case, water is present in an interstitial void. Therefore, it is an example for interstitial water. Next, third type is hydrogen bonded water. In this example, it is nothing but copper sulfate pentahydride. In this example, 4 water molecules are bonded to a copper by a coordinate bond, and the 5th hydrogen water molecule is bonded to a sulfate ion by hydrogen bond. In this case, water is bonded to the sulfate by a hydrogen bond. Then the type of hydrates are called as hydrogen bonded hydrides. Cleared? There are different types of hydrides based on the association of water. They are named as coordinated water, interstitial water and hydrogen bonded water. Coordinated water means nothing but water is bonded by a coordinate bond. Interstitial water means water is present in an interstitial voids. Hydrogen bonded water means water is bonded by an hydrogen bond. This is about the hydrides. Cleared? Next, coming to an hydrolysis reaction. What do you mean by hydrolysis? As the name itself indicate, lysis means, already you know that lysis is nothing but breakdown. Breakdown will take place in the presence of hydro means water. Lysis will take place. Breakdown will take place in the presence of water. Then the type of reactions are called as hydrolysis reaction. You all know that water is having high dielectric constant. Therefore, it can dissolve many of compounds like ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Example, when we consider phosphorus pentoxide P2O5, the dimer of this phosphorus pentoxide is P4O10. When it is dissolved in water, it is going to form an acid like phosphoric acid. It is going to form an acid like phosphoric acid H3PO4. Similarly, when silicon tetrachloride dissolved in water, it is going to form silicon dioxide plus HCl. H plus will goes with chlorine and oxygen will goes with silicon to form silicon dioxide. These two reaction explains the hydrolysis reaction of water. Cleared? Next, coming to a purification of water. You all know that rainwater is a pure water. It does not contain any impurities. If any impurities are present in an water, then it should be purified. First method, removal of the suspended impurities. Impurities can be removed by the addition of alum followed by the filtration. If we consider a particular potash alum is nothing but potassium aluminium sulfate solution. When it is added to an impure water, it will react with impurities present in the solution and it is going to form a larger particles. Impurities will react with that alum and it is going to form a larger particles. Those larger particles are removed from the filtration and the filtrate we are going to get is a pure water. Second method, it can be purified by destroying the bacteria. How the bacteria can be destroyed? By the keeping water to a sunlight or by the boiling or by the chlorination. These are the two methods for the purification of water. Next, coming to types of water. Depending upon the formation of lather with a soap, water is classified into two types, that is soft water and hard water. Based on the formation of lather with a soap, water is classified into two types, that is soft water and hard water. What do you mean by soft water? Already I said that it is classified based on the formation of lather with a soap. The water which is going to form a lather with a large amount of lather with a soap, then the type of waters are called as soft water. Why it is going to form the lather with the soap easily? Because that water is free from bicarbonates, sulfides and chlorides of calcium and magnesium. It does not contain any dissolved salts like calcium chloride, calcium sulfide, calcium bicarbonate or a magnesium chloride, magnesium sulfide and a magnesium bicarbonate. It does not contain any dissolved salt, because due to the free from these salts, then the type of salts are called as soft water. It does not contain any dissolved salt, therefore it is going to form a large amount of lather with a soap. Then the type of waters are called as soft water. Next, second type is hard water. Already I said that we are classified based on the formation of lather with a soap. That soft water will form a lather with a soap, and the water which does not form a lather with a soap, then that is hard water. This hard water does not produce a lather with a soap. Why it is not going to form a lather with a soap means, because this hard water contains dissolved salts of bicarbonates, sulfides or chlorides of calcium and magnesium. The water may contain calcium chloride, calcium sulfide or a calcium bicarbonate salt in the water, or it may contain magnesium bicarbonate, magnesium sulfide or a magnesium chloride salt in the water. Those salt will causes the hardness for the water. Then the type of waters are called as hard water. Then those type of hard water does not produce a lather with a soap. Why it is not going to form a lather? Because if we consider a soap, this sodium stearate is nothing but a soap. Soap is a sodium or a potassium salt of fatty acid. If I consider particularly sodium stearate with a formula C17H35COO Na+. Here this is the anion and Na plus is a cation. M2 plus is nothing but the cations present in the hard water. Which are the cations present in the hard water? Calcium and magnesium. It may be Ca2 plus or it may be Mg2 plus. These cations present in the hard water reacts with the anions of the soap solution, reacts with the anion of the soap, and it is going to form a precipitate, and it is going to release the sodium ions in the solution. Because due to the formation of this precipitate is called as scum. Clear? Because due to the formation of this precipitate, it is not going to produce a lather with a soap. Cleared? This is about the hard water. Next, coming to a types of hardness of water. There are two types of hardness of water, that is temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Already you know that hardness is due to the presence of chlorides, sulfides and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. If any one of the salt is present in water, then the type of water source said to be hard water. Based on the presence of the salt, which type of salt are present in water, it is classified into two types, temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is mainly due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. If the water contains calcium bicarbonate or a magnesium bicarbonate, then that type of waters are said to be temporary hard water. Then the type of hardness is called as temporary hardness. What do you mean by permanent hardness then? If the water contains chlorides and sulfides of calcium and magnesium, if there is a presence of calcium sulfide, calcium chloride, or it may be magnesium sulfide or a magnesium chloride in a water, then the type of hard waters are called as permanent hardness. Then the type of hardness are called as permanent hardness. Based on the type of the salt present in the water, hardness is classified into two types, that is temporary hardness and a permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is mainly due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium salts. Cleared? Next, permanent hardness is due to the presence of chlorides and sulfides of calcium and magnesium. Cleared? Next, coming to a removal of this temporary hardness. This temporary hardness can be removed just by a boiling method. Just by boiling the water, we can remove the hardness of the water. How can we remove the temporary hardness? Already you know the definition for the temporary hardness. The water which contains, that water is containing only the bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. By boiling, the soluble bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium are converted into insoluble carbonates. Soluble bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. Soluble bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium are converted into insoluble carbonates. Insoluble carbonates. That means by boiling the water, that bicarbonates will get precipitate into insoluble carbonates. Here, if the water is containing calcium bicarbonate, means when it is heated, it is going to form the precipitate of calcium carbonate, and the carbon dioxide gas will be evolved with a soft water. Then we are going to get a soft water. This precipitate can be removed by the filtration. If the water contains magnesium bicarbonate, then also it can be removed by the boiling process. In this case, it gets converted into magnesium carbonate precipitate, and the carbon dioxide gas will be evolved, and the water what we are going to get is a soft water. Precipitate so formed, the precipitate like calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate can be removed by the filtration process. This is the one of the method for the removal of the temporary hardness. Mainly temporary hardness is because due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, these bicarbonates gets converted into precipitate of calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate. Remember the reactions, important reactions. Cleared? This is about the removal of the temporary hardness by a boiling method. Next, second method. Second method is Clark's process. Temporary hardness can be removed by a boiling or by a Clark's process. In this method, we are treating the temporary hard water with a lime water. Lime water is nothing but calcium hydroxide solution. Calcium hydroxide solution is called as lime water. You know that temporary hardness is because due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. Those soluble bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, when it is treated with a lime water is nothing but calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice. This calcium hydroxide reacts with the calcium bicarbonate to form a insoluble precipitate of calcium carbonate, and the water we are going to get is a soft water. Second, if we consider magnesium bicarbonate is present in a water, it will react with a calcium hydroxide and it is going to form a precipitate of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide, and the water we are going to get is a soft water. These precipitates are removed from the filtration process. Clear? Then the water what we are going to get is a pure water. These are the two methods for the removal of temporary hardness. Remember, the temporary hardness is because due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, those soluble bicarbonates are converted into insoluble carbonates just by boiling or by treating with a lime water. Those insoluble carbonates are removed by the filtration process and we are going to get a pure water. These are the two methods to remove the temporary hardness. Clear? Thank you.